Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's May 26th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and the market will be closed Monday. So no chart lesson tomorrow, although we will be trading tomorrow. I just don't do chart lessons on Fridays anymore. I need at least one day a week to get a break. But we'll get a 3-day weekend because no trading on Monday due to Memorial Day. So just keep that in mind. And we'll be back Tuesday for a regular day starting Tuesday. So it'll be a short week next week. But anyway, and you get a long weekend too. So I always like these long weekends. It's nice to get a break. And anyway, let's. This is today's chart, and we did get more follow through buying. You can see we traded through the midline, but notice how we closed at it. So um, this is about what I was expecting based on the read. But honestly, I didn't know if the market could pull it off or not, because every time I've thought we were going to go higher, we turned right back down and did it here. And we may do it here too. We'll see. Um, but yeah, this is looking pretty positive so far. If we can get continued following through tomorrow and close above this midline, maybe we'll trade on higher here. But we definitely have cured a lot of the oversold issues. So we could turn back down now. This is still a relatively steep channel here. You want to see one more to 45-degree angle. So I still think we got room to go higher here. Whether or not we'll do that, it's hard to say, because it seems like every really nice rally is met with stout selling. So we'll see if that happens again. But anyway, you see what it looks like on the daily chart. We did get more follow through, fairly positive day. We didn't close on the high, but notice we closed under that midline. So we'll flip over to the intraday 2000 tick chart, and we'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this week. And you can see the relatively strong trend, this two-tiered blue channel. It trended up. We got a break here, a really strong move to a new high, and then we had a couple of legs down, and we rallied back and made another new high, only to sell off again. So it looks like we're somewhat ranging here. This is the breakout. This black line pretty much closed at the breakout area, and we came back and tested that a couple of times, and prices have actually gotten back just below that before they bounced higher. So anyway, if you look here, if you just measure these moves, you can see we got a little more than a measured move there, and then we bounced. That's all after 2:30 though. So, but let's zoom in here, go through the trades, and wrap today up. As strong as this trend was, there weren't a lot of really good trades in here. So 7 o'clock came just as we're bottoming out here. We made a higher low here, but this channel's still in play at that point. You can't go long there. And notice we get the break, and then you get a first entry and a second entry. I like going short right there. I mean, at this point, this looks like this could still be a possible range day. Originally, I had a little steeper trend here, and there is another trend channel here. You don't really need it though. You get, because the blue one kind of takes precedence over it. So you saw that bounce there. Maybe you get interested in that trade, but with that trend line on this yellowish channel coming down, I just don't see how you're below the EMA. I just don't think you want to go long there. You're better off to wait on the short. And of course, we bounced down here. I didn't mark this trade. It's just too congestive across there. You might say, hey, it looks like a triple test, and it does. But you got to go long right into the EMA. There's just some reasons to be a little afraid of that one. I'm not crazy about it. I think you're better off to wait and see if you get a reversal, which you do right here. Again, it's not quite back to the EMA, but it's because there's a trend line right there. But you don't know that at this point because it hadn't been confirmed. You probably would be playing this real tight channel. There's a real tight trend channel right here, and then you get a break. And so you'd expect a new high, but you might get two legs back too. So you just got to be real careful. So, but it is a reversal. I marked it green. And then we run up here, and we're just running sideways again. So once again, I just think this is too congested. Right in across some resistance right there from this last high, so I don't like going long there. If you wait a minute, it comes back, you get a first entry and then a second entry with a relatively nice bar. The problem is it's still a little congested looking. So, and in the big scheme of things, we're below the EMA, so it means we should be, and we came off the lows, so it means we could be headed back to the highs. You can see we never get that strong again, but this is still a relatively strong trend up through here. So this turns out, if you catch this trade here on this triple test, um, you'll probably get a runner on that. Depends on how you played it. I can't remember exactly how many ticks were in this bar. So I'm not sure if you get a runner there or not. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I was thinking you did, but maybe you wouldn't get a runner there. If you took the trade, you would know. So anyway, it doesn't matter. You always want to try to get a runner on a day like this on every entry. But triple test, so nice entry. We're running higher, and then we kind of spike up and go in this channel. And even though it doesn't look like this is a really strong trend, till you get a break here on two legs. And so with that being a little two-legged correction there, and this trend really kind of started up, maybe I'd say right here. So I would measure that and look for a measured move, and you can see we got really close there before we sold off. But I'm going to take that off just so it doesn't clutter up the chart. But we bounce here. Unfortunately, you don't get a very good signal bar. It just runs up, and I don't see any reason to enter in here. And then, of course, you get a first entry. You shoot through the EMA, pull back, and fail, and you get a second entry. Failed second entry long there. I like that one. You've already had your break and a new high on this channel, and we're below the EMA, so we should be probably headed back at least to the trend line. And, of course, we get a break there much sooner, and then you get a pullback first entry, pullback second entry. I marked this one green. It's not anywhere close to the EMA. I'm sorry, not anywhere close to the trend line or the key entry point here. It's below the EMA, and it looks a little flat. The way I see trading this is you're really trading this as a failed break out of the little range. And it's not a great signal bar. It's bullish. It probably closes in the upper third, but it's close. So I marked it green. Hoping we'd maybe get a reversal pattern, but we don't. We get a higher low here, but I don't think you want to trade that either. Runs up, and you get a first entry, second entry, and that confirms this key entry point right up through here. And you can see that takes off. And then we come back, and technically this is not a second entry. It does look like two legs back. So if you took that trade, you only get a scalp out of it. There's some reasons to consider that. It's a little more advanced, and it is a little aggressive. So, but if you wait just a minute, you got a new high, so you get a true second entry right at the actual key entry point here again. I like entering right there, and it just runs back up here to this last high and falls down, and we actually get an overshoot here, then a break, move to a new low. There is a first entry and a second entry short here that's worth considering. This was the first break, so you got to be real careful you don't get trapped. But with that being a second entry, plus that little bit of a trap right there where it breaks higher, you might trade that. I'm going to mark it green because the trend is up here, and it's been up pretty strongly, and that's the first break. So you could get trapped there easily on a failed second entry short, and then it go higher. Because right now you'd still be looking for a retest of these highs right in here. And then suddenly you get that right here on a higher low, and prices take off. And that's all we're doing is we're trading at the higher low right there. You might say, hey, there's a reversal right here. It didn't really get back to the EMA, but maybe that's close enough. Again, I'll at least give it a green, but I think you should. I think it's a little aggressive. And we just keep chopping higher, and then finally you get two legs back to the EMA, and a second entry long right there. Technically, it broke higher right there. So by the count, it's not really a second entry, but hopefully you can clearly see that it's two legs back to the EMA. And normally I don't draw a trend line on these retests, but this is a fairly long trend right here. Oops. So it almost looks like the market just established a new trend back up through here. And you can see that there. And so you get a break, two legs down, and then prices bounce. So I like that trade. I mean, even though you got a little tick higher there, that just looks like one leg down and then it reverses. And then we actually get a break here at a new high, and prices just turn over, and you get a first entry, pull back below the EMA, come back and test it again, and you get a failed second entry short. I'm sorry, you get a second entry short and a failed second entry long when it breaks lower below this bar right here. I like that trade. You can see that's a quick, easy move. The longs have to start exiting. You get a sure breakout side here at a new low, and then it looks like we're running higher. And I marked this one as a green because you could argue there's a triple test there. It's also a failed breakout of this upper half of this trend line. If you didn't see this whole thing, you should at least seen this little tight congestion here, a little tight range. And of course it takes off, breaks out on the upper side, tries to go higher and fails and turns down. I marked this one. I don't know if I would go short one tick below that. I'd either use a limit order and let it back up some, or I would enter on the engulfing bar when it went through right here. Just make sure you got enough room before you get back to that midline, because that's the key. It didn't matter. You would have got out of it anyway, but you need to be sure you got room to get out of there. And so then we just kind of chop back up here. I mean, really what it looks like is this channel expanded to me to like that. And so that's, I redrew it later like this. And of course we break out and we don't get a lower high or anything. I just don't know if you want to trade that on a breakout this late in the day. I think you should wait on something better. And we really just kind of bounce off these lows again and head right back up, and we come up short of the highs up here. And I did mark this one on a failed breakout. You got a really strong leg here. You'll probably get another one over here. We actually went a little further before we bounced, and that took us into 230. So yeah, it was a really strong trend, but there's not a lot of trades there. And there's actually another trend channel here that you might have had on there. And you can see, let me just color that one different so it's a little easier to see. Let's make it dark gray, I guess. So you can see that one's in play as well. And then we come up short and we get the break and move to a new high. So there's a couple of different channels in play there. So this original blue one's the one I played. But you might have looked at it this way too, and I just played that with the shorter term ones in here. That's another shorter term one. But that's how I saw it today, and just coloring some of these so they're easier to see in case you want to come back and study them some more. But really strong trend up until about lunchtime, and then we corrected for a bit before rallying and then selling off into the close. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Will we get some more follow through? I don't know. But anyway, I'm probably going to work till about noon and take off and start my weekend and take a long weekend. So I hope you had a good trading day. Hope you had a good week. We'll be back again to do it Tuesday. Don't forget Monday is a Memorial Day holiday, so I think the market still trades till noon, but don't try to trade that stuff. This usually looks like this right here, just a few small bars side by side, because for the most part people don't trade it, so uh, I wouldn't waste my time with it. It's like watching paint dry, and a lot of times you'll get stuck in a trade and get stuck there, and you'd be better off to go enjoy the day and take a day off or use it for studying or whatever. But I wouldn't try to trade it. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again Tuesday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next